Hey there, Pokemon fans, Readers here with another deck review video. In this video I'm going to take a look at the Gengar Bats deck. And you may think, Readers, why Gengar Bats now? This is a very old deck. I mean, maybe 4, 5, 6 months, I'm not sure, old. And yes, it is indeed, but I don't know why. I just built it now. And I'm having tons of fun with this deck, and I want to show it to you. By the way, I found this list from an opponent which crushed my face with this deck. I had a super deck with EXs and stuff, and he just knocked every single EX with Bats and Gengar. And he had the list open, and I grabbed the list. So those stats are not mine, and that's very strange. I'm not sure if those stats are my opponent's stats and it just lagged or whatever, but those are not my stats. And I suggest not trusting the stats. There is a huge problem with the stats, but I trust those stats. I think that it has a close to 50% win ratio, and this is a gamble. I don't suggest going to the tournaments with this deck, because 50% to win or lose a match, that's not a good ratio. So let's just take a look at the deck basically and see how awesome it is. It's not, again, I'm gonna say that for one more and last time. It is not a stable deck, but it is super fun to play with, and I highly recommend building it just for the fun. And by the way, I now remember a comment from a viewer, which I cannot remember the viewer, but I can remember the comment. There was a guy telling me on the comments that, does the deck have to be awesome and very competitive in order to feature it on your channel? And the answer is no. And this is an example. Okay, let's move on. I spent a lot of your time rambling. So we have a line. So this is break point or breakthrough. I think that this is breakthrough. So it is about 6 months old. Anyways, so we have a Gastly, Haunter, and Gengar line. And let's start with Gastly. Let's go slowly, okay? Let's mark this as tradable as well. We have with 1 energy, sleep poison, flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep and poisoned. So this is a good part of the synergy. By the way, take a look at the artwork of this card. It is amazing. This Gastly probably haunts a mansion or something like that. Can you see? A very luxurious house, probably castle or something like that. That's crazy. By the way, Haunter is outside of the castle, and Gengar is in another realm. He's in his own mind. He's loco. Whatever. So, sleep poison is good because it is good for what is going to come next with Haunter and actually Gengar. But even if it wasn't good, you do need Gastly as your basic Pokemon, so you cannot skip that. Now we have three Haunters. Awesome artwork again. The ability is Gothic Fear. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may leave both active Pokemon confused. And this is very important, because if that works the way it is supposed to work, Gengar is a sinister next turn, okay? But we are going to talk about that in just a bit. Let's take a look at Poison Ring. Poison Ring with 2 energy, actually 1 because we are going to use Dimension Valley, but we will get there. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. No coin flips, boom, poisoned. That Pokemon can't retreat during your opponent's next turn. That's nice. It indeed prepares your opponent for death. Okay? Seriously. Now, we have 3 Gengars, and that's a holo rare, by the way, with Sinister Fog. With 1 energy, your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. Put 1 damage counter on each of your opponent's bench. So you spread damage counters on your opponent's bench and you prepare them for Crypto, and that's basically what we want to use, Crypto, and that's why we have Bats, to get rid of the Sinister Fog move. We want, as fast as possible, to have 3 damage counters on every single opponent Pokemon. If your opponent's active Pokemon has 3 or more damage counters on it, that Pokemon is knocked out. No questions asked, with 1 energy, because of Dimension Valley, or 2, which is not so hard, boom, knockout. 1 energy, knockout. 1 energy. Crazy, okay? I know, it's crazy. Plus, believe it or not, it is a 130 HP Pokemon, which is quite a lot, and it has a free retreat cost, which may be very, very key in some games. Very key. So that's how you win with Gengar Crypto. Now, Haunter, the Gothic Fear, may prepare your opponent's active Pokemon for death, because if you confuse your opponent's active Pokemon and he tries to attack, I know this is a coin flip, it may work, it may not, but if it does, Gengar is going to eat it alive. Okay, Gengar likes to eat wounded Pokemon, and that's actually what it does, and that's why we have Zubat, Golbat, and Crobat to start those little wounds which Gengar is going to feed off. So we have 3 Zubats. Again, it's not so powerful, it's a basic Pokemon, but sometimes it is very, very key to have the skill dive. This attack does 10 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. You may need just 10 more damage to make it 30 to be able to knock out with Gengar next turn. And what is awesome about both Golbat and Crobat, it is seriously awesome, 0 retreat cost. You can evolve, retreat, boom, attack with Gengar. So simple, so freaking simple, okay? Sneaky Bite. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. So this also prepares your opponent for death, but it's not quite enough. It's not just 1, boom, and there you go, dead, knocked out. And you don't have to worry, because Swoop Across deals 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. So Sneaky Bite may put the first 20, and Swoop Across free with Dimension Valley will spread 10 more damage to every single Pokemon, leaving you making your opponent's Pokemon ready to get knocked out by Gengar. And Crobat is the best Pokemon in this deck because it helps us do all that stuff in an instant. If we have Gengar in our active spot, or even in our bench, and we have Golbat in our active spot, we can Crobat, deal 30 damage, retreat, and knock out with Gengar. And how is that possible? Surprise Bat. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may put 3 damage counter on your opponent's Pokemon. And that's exactly what Gengar needs. Okay? That's exactly what Gengar needs. And those are damage counters. Though it is not damage, it is damage counters. So it doesn't matter if your opponent has a I don't know, any item that increases the HP or that reduces the damage that it takes, because those are damage counters, not damage. Skill Dive, on the other hand, this attack does 30 damage to your opponent's Pokemon. This is damage, so it may be prevented in some ways. By the way, this is bad against Mr. Mime, so be very careful with Mr. Mime. And also, the whole combo may not be shut down, but it may have huge trouble with Rough Seas. Be very careful. If your opponent has Rough Seas, be very careful on how you use Dimension Valley. You always need to have a Dimension Valley to get rid of Rough Seas as fast as possible, and Rough Seas is going to deal a lot of damage to you because it's going to remove all the damage counters that you've put with so much effort. So even just one Rough Seas and Heal All may destroy you. But anyways, now we have 2 Remoraid, and this is probably not the best Remoraid. I have to change that. Let's actually do that now. Where is it? Let's actually do that now, and I'm gonna tell you why. There is a better Remoraid in my opinion. And it is this one. Discard any stadium card in play. Now, you may not need that. What's that? Switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. Oh. No, that's better. In this case, that's better. Because the only stadium that you need to get rid of, is Rough Seas. But currently, in my mind, only Rough Seas. So let's not change that. But since we are here, I'm gonna change the Gastly, because I'm pretty sure that I have a promo Gastly. There you go. It's the exact same, but it is a promo. And I'm gonna do that now. So let's do that. We have 3 promo Gastly. That's nice. Okay, so now that we've done that and spent some of your time, I'm gonna tell you that Octillery is here just for the Abyssal hand, okay? We don't have water type energy. Once during your turn, you may draw cards until you have 5 cards in your hand. Now that may be key. And the other thing that is very good about this deck, I forgot to mention in the beginning of this video, is that it is a budget deck. Those Pokemon are not expensive. There are no Same-Mini X's in this deck. How crazy is that? Seriously, no freaking Same-Mini EXs in this deck. That's a huge opportunity to build it, okay? So Octillery is here to replace Same-Mini X, and it does quite well, because you don't want to draw a lot of cards in your first turns. That's what Same-Mini does. It gives you the opportunity to draw a lot of cards in your first 1, 2, or 3 turns. Octillery does it slowly but steadily. And that's a very nice card. So we have 3 Ultra Ball. Let's go for the items. We have 3 Ultra Ball, Level Ball, to be honest. And this is a very, very good card because it allows you to search your deck for a Pokemon with 90 HP or less. And 90 HP is everything but Gengar and Crobat. So you may bring Haunter, you may bring Golbat to deal 20 more damage, you may bring Octillery to fix your hand. Very, very, very important. Also, you can bring the basics, okay? You can bring the basic Pokemon as well. Now, we have 1 Rare Candy, and I use that mainly on moving from Gastly to Gengar to be able to knock out in the first turn or something if I have enough bats. Or sometimes, very rarely, but it may happen, I can move from Zubat to Crobat and deal 30 damage just right there in 1 turn and knock out anything with Gengar in an instant. You know, your opponent cannot always predict that you can go from Zubat to Crobat instantly with a Rare Candy, and that can be very, very good for you to surprise him actually with that. Now we have 2 Sacred Ash, shuffle 5 Pokemon from your discard pile into your deck, and this is very important because you're going to lose some Gastlys, you're going to lose some Zubats, Crobats, maybe Remoraids as well, and it is very important to get them back. So you need to, especially the bats are your gas, your fuel. If you lose your fuel, your gas, you run out of gas, then Gengar is... It's not useless because it has the Sinister Fog, but it is very slow, and he's going to die. Anyways, have you noticed that every slow Pokemon dies a quick death instead of a slow death? But anyways, we have two Super Scoop Up trainers, and that's flip a coin. If heads, put one of your Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your hand, and that's basically for the bats, basically, but it can also save some of your Gastlys, Gengars actually, if you do have to save one. I don't know, you may need to confuse with Haunter, I don't know. You may need to just retreat your active Pokemon and you don't have an energy. tons of options, but basically mainly for Crobat, okay? For the bats actually. Town Map to turn all your prize cards face up. This may be very important. It could be replaced, but I like it currently. I do like it. We have 4 Ultra Ball, and that's basically to bring our Gengars, Crobats. It is useful. It also thins your hand, and Octillery becomes more powerful if you have a lighter hand. Okay, we have only two VS Seeker, and I have to figure out. I'm not sure if that's a good thing to have only 2 VS Seekers. Maybe we could cut off a Brigette, and put 1 more VS Seeker. I think that 3 Brigette is a lot, but also you need Brigette. Search your deck for 1 basic Pokemon EX, which we don't have any, or 3 basic Pokemon except for Pokemon EX, and put them onto your bench. Shuffle your deck afterwards. So most of the games will go very nice if you start off with a Brigette. Okay, if this is the first supporter you play in your first turn, this is gonna be good. It's gonna be good, and I suggest bringing 1 Gastly and 2 Zubats, depending on what you have in your hand. If you have Octillery, of course, go for Gastly, Zubat, Remoraid. Or if you have 2 Gastlys, go for Zubat, Remoraid, or whatever. I don't know, but I suggest getting at least 2 Zubats in your bench as fast as possible. You need to put damage counters as fast as possible. Okay, so that's Brigette. We have 2 Lysandre, and that's very important. Very important. Being able to get back into the active spot all the Pokemon that are in fear of Gengar, very important. Being able to get in front all the Pokemon that Golbat, Zubat, Crobat, or anybody have damaged with those abilities, very important. So 2 Lysandres, and those may be not enough, but we have the VS Seekers, so we're gonna get them back. Now we have 3 Professor's Bridge Observation, and that's basically why. That's basically because we don't want to discard so many cards. Okay, we don't want to discard. So Professor Birch secures that we're not going to lose cards, but draw 4 to 7 cards depending on our luck. We have 3 Professor Sycamore because it is important to be able to get rid of a very bad hand, maybe early on or in any situation, and make sure that we're gonna draw a lot of cards. So Professor Sycamore is very important as well. We have Teammates, 3 freaking Teammates, and I'm not a huge fan of Teammates, but in this specific deck, key card. I mean, it is a key card. Key card. You may lose your active Pokemon, and because you lost, I have been in places where I seriously wished my opponent would knock out any of my Pokemon. I mean, for example, I had a Haunter in the bench, a Golbat in the bench, and an active Gengar, okay? And I said, look, and let's say that I had at least 1 energy in my hand, okay? If he knocks out Gengar, I'm going to Teammates for a Gengar and a Crobat, deal 3 damage counters, 30 damage with Crobat, and boom, knock it out with Gengar. So I had my way with 1 card, Teammates, to get rid of my opponent's biggest threat. So Teammates is very, very important. Dimension Valley is also, did I tell you what Teammates does? You can play this card only if 1 of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn. Search your deck for 2 cards, any cards, and put them into your hand without showing them to your opponent. Shuffle your deck afterward. That's very nice. And Dimension Valley now, its Psychic type Pokemon attacks, both yours and your opponent's, cost 1 colorless less. This is very important, very, very important to be able to knock out anything with 1 energy with Gengar. And Crobat deals damage without any energy. Any energy, just skill dive with no investment on energy. Very important. Also, you can get rid of your opponent's stadium cards with this card, especially, as I mentioned before, especially Rough Seeds. This is the worst, probably the worst stadium that the opponent can play against you. We now have 3 Mystery Energy, and that's not so important to have Mystery Energy, because both Gengar and Crobat have 0 retreat cost, but sometimes we do need to retreat those guys. So why not have it? That's okay. Energy disruption is out there, but it's not so scary in this specific deck. And we have 3 basic psychic type energy, and that's the deck. Now, the next step, what I suggest trying it out, building it, testing it out. Maybe remove one Brigette, put one VS Seeker. That may work very well in my opinion, but you do need Brigette, okay? So having 3 is you increase the chance to draw it in your first turn. That's very important. Actually, don't touch it. Actually, don't touch it. Anyways, so build it, test it out. Tell me your opinion in the comments below. Tell me if you have any suggestions to make this deck better. If you have any other configurations. If you think of any other ways. For example, Absol. Absol could be a good card in this deck, I think. Yeah, it could be a good card, Absol. Yeah, maybe I should put an Absol. But anyways, tell me your opinion. Suggest improvements. Tell me if you built it, if you enjoyed it. All those in the comments below. Definitely check out. That's nice, right? Let me do it again. So check out the latest video right here. You're gonna find a match there. And yeah, that's all. I really hope that you enjoyed this deck review video. And until next time, I'm sorry for wasting a lot of your time. I just get so excited about such decks. And I'm gonna see you in the next one. Until then, take good care of yourself, keep enjoying playing Pokemon, and I'm gonna see you. Bye.